How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Family. We are back with another FPL video, and today we're going to be taking a look at my lineup preview for Game Week 10. We're going to take a look at how we did in Game Week 9 and how the team is shaping up for Game Week 10, as well as the transfer screen and what transfers I'm going to be making this week, or at least ones that I'm kind of penciled in, as I have 2 free transfers and I don't want any of them to go to waste. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, or haven't done so already. It greatly helps out the channel, and turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. Drop us a follow over on Twitter so that you can keep up to date with any and all FPL news, from price changes to injury news and anything in between. And lastly, make sure to give us a follow over on Twitch so you can see when we go live for our preview and deadline streams. And we will be doing a deadline stream tomorrow, 1 hour before the FPL deadline. There'll be a pinned comment down below to give you the exact time, as well as the link to the stream as well. So without further ado, let's talk about our partners for this FPL season with Fantasy Football Scout. So if you haven't heard about Fantasy Football Scout, they have a fantastic members area during the regular season. It's £25 for the membership, and that lasts the entire year. And during the off season, they give a 20% discount. But if you have missed that discount, fear not, you can still get the membership for £25, and it's fantastic. You can see the membership area just behind me. You have a bunch of different stats that you can use, powered by Opta stats, and create your own custom tables. You have the Rate My Team tool, you have the season ticker, player comparison tools, a whole array of things that you can use to help elevate your FPL game. So use the link down in the description below so that you can get access to these exclusive tools to help elevate your FPL game. Sign up now. So this is how the team lined up in Game Week 9. 97 points. It was looking like a small red arrow going into Sunday, but Mo Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold did the damage against my team, Manchester United, unfortunately, in a humiliating defeat, 5-0 at Old Trafford. You can't get beat 5-0 at your home ground against your biggest rival. Just can't happen. But it made good for my FPL team, and we went up from, I think it was around 58k to 35k overall, and it could have been even more had Smith Rowe come off the bench for us. We had a Buemo come off there as well. We'll get to that in just a second. City not keeping a clean sheet. That could have been some points as well. So in goal, we had Raya, just 1 less point than Ramsdale. I thought Raya would probably get more save points, but he did concede an extra. So at the end of the day, 1 point, not really going to scrounge about that. Let's talk about City defense first. I mean, the goal that they concede is a penalty. What is Ederson doing? I don't really know. That would have put us over the 100 point mark, which would have been quite nice with the City double up. That's a bit of a differential for us at the moment. Cancelo was our vice captain, and I'm glad that we didn't have to use him, because him only getting 1 point would have been very, very bad. Then the other side of our defense, Trent, assist and a bonus point with a clean sheet. Fantastic there. Double Chelsea defense. When Chilwell and Reece James started this game, I was ecstatic. And then when Reece James scored, I'm like, okay, well, this is great. Reece James scored. He's, I think he was like slightly less owned than Chilwell. And then Chilwell scored, and I was like, just rubbing my hands like, this is going to be a fantastic game week. And then the rest of the team kind of happened. City dropped the clean sheet. Rafinha came off early. St. Maximin didn't get anything, and Buemo came off early. Raya conceded. I was like, oh, this isn't going to be great. I have to kind of hope that Salah goes absolutely ballistic. And he ended up doing that, getting 48 points. So on the Sunday, we were able to get 58 points by my calculation there, with 48 and the 10 from Trent in just that one game, which was over half our score, which is absolutely insane. The one player that we did know wasn't going to play was Romelu Lukaku. We knew that beforehand. I just left him in the team because we brought him in on the wild card in Game Week 8, and he just hasn't done anything for us since. He's been injured, which is not ideal. So Mbeumo came in for him, as you can see on our bench. He was our first sub. Would it have been better if Smith Rowe would have came in? Yes, that would have been quite nice, but you can't have everything, and I think our team did pretty well for this game week as well. So he came in, Lukaku didn't play, so we got 1 additional point off our bench to make 97 points overall. We didn't make any transfers, so we have 2 going into this week, which is quite nice. We got a little bit of a rank rise, so I'm pretty happy with our rank. We've not dropped outside the top 100k since the start of the season. We are doing very, very well, so hopefully we can continue with those green arrows and push on to the top 25k, and then eventually the top 10k, which is ultimately what we want to do by the end of the season. So with our lineup there being all set out from Game Week 9, let's see how our defense is looking for Game Week 10. Now, this is how our defense sets up for Game Week 10 at the moment. We'll touch on all the injuries and whatnot as a whole, basically, once we see the entire team. I know Raya is flagged, but we have the rotation of goalkeepers, so we can always play Ramsdale. Squad value, 101.6 million, so probably a little bit on the lower side than most teams, I would say. We don't have any money in the bank, which isn't ideal, but we do have 2 free transfers and 3 chips available to play, which we probably won't play. We'll save those for the second half of the season, as we normally do. But in the back line, I mean, it looks really good. You know, 2 defenders versus Newcastle, 1 at home to Brighton, the other one's at home to Crystal Palace, and I think those are the 3 best defenses in the league. Chilwell's almost certain to start this week, with Alonso starting in midweek in the Carabao Cup. Reece James might be a bit of a risk there, but we do have cover on the bench if needed, because midfielders can come in for defenders if you have more than 3 defenders playing, which is always nice. And had it been last week, Smith Rowe would have came in and got pretty much the same amount of points as Chilwell and James. He got 13, and I think James got 13, Chilwell got 12, which is fine by us. But I'm expecting probably a clean sheet from Chelsea, as well as probably Man City. I think Man City and Liverpool, it's probably a bit close. I would say if I had to bank on a clean sheet this week, it would definitely be Chelsea of those 3. Chilwell's obviously going nowhere. The guy scored 3 and 3 in the Premier League. Reece James should come in, because I think Newcastle are going to try to be a lot more solid defensively and play a lot more reserved, whereas Crystal Palace are going to be quite open, so that might risk City to try to do faster like counters, or try to open up the space a little bit, which could leave them a little bit more exposed at the back. Brighton don't typically score very many goals, so I expect a clean sheet from Liverpool there. So if I had to rank them, I'd say probably Chelsea, then Liverpool, then City. So basically from left to right. So, but I think our defense is going to look quite solid this week. I can easily see this defense getting 30 points. With clean sheets across the board, maybe some attacking returns from Cancelo, James, Chilwell, and Trent Alexander-Arnold could be on the cards as well. So looking very, very bright in defense, and like I said, we do have cover on the bench if needed, because we have 3 starting midfielders in most cases as well. So let's take a look at how our midfield is lining up for Game Week 10. So again, just the 2 midfielders for the time being, depending on how flags and situations go. But in terms of fixtures, I would say out of all the midfielders that we have remaining that isn't Salah, Salah's obviously going to be the captain this week. I don't see any reason otherwise for that, based on what he did last week and the form that he's in. Our match is going to go nowhere. And Rafinha has arguably the best fixture. He's playing the worst team in the league. They are bottom in Norwich, and he should be back fit and available, hopefully, based on the press conferences. But again, like I said, we'll touch on that more on that injury front. If assuming everyone was fit anyway, Norwich away is the best fixture out of all of them. All 3 of them, barring Brownhill, who's going to be just a 2-pointer anyway. He would be last on the priority list anyway. If I had to choose between these 4 midfielders, Rafinha would be the one. And that's strictly because of fixture. But the flags, like I said, we will adjust those once we get to the next screen, where we can show our forwards and our complete team as it stands for Game Week 10. And as you can see, this is our forward line that we have on our team here, with St. Maximin at home to Chelsea. Probably not going to play him, but he's in there just for the time being. Jimenez at home to Everton, and Lukaku away to Newcastle. He has been ruled out of this fixture, and Tuchel has basically earmarked him and Werner, and I think Pulisic as well, but definitely Lukaku and Werner to be back after the international break, which means that these good fixtures for Lukaku have gone right out the window. So I have a whole lot of money that I can potentially get rid of in my team. He would have been my vice captain. Maybe I'll just chuck that on. Who knows? Maybe Trent Alexander-Arnold might be the vice captain this week if Salah doesn't play, or maybe I'll just put it on Jimenez or Rafinha. I'm not even too sure. But let's take a look at all the flags just in general. We have Raya in goal. He's out for 4 to 5 months. I believe he tore a muscle in his PCL, which is part of a component of a muscle group in your knee, which is quite major. He's out 4 to 5 months, so hopefully he, recovers normally and can get back to how good he was during his short spell in the Premier League so far. But we have cover there on the bench with Ramsdale, so we don't necessarily need to make the goalkeeper transfer. We did buy Raya at 4.6 million, so he might go down in price, and we've already hemorrhaged 0.2 million off of Lukaku as well, because we bought him at 11.7, and he's only gone down since we've had him on the wild card. So not ideal. We don't want to be giving away these cheap, like, kind of 0.1, 0.2 millions. Maybe I just correct the issue with Raya right away and just bring in Foster, or maybe I just bring in his backup. We'll see. I still haven't made my mind up on that, but we'll take a look at the transfer screen and see what I'm basically thinking of then. Then we have a couple of flags in midfield. We have Rafinha and Mbeumo. It seems most likely that Rafinha is going to be the one that's more likely to be involved in the game this weekend for Norwich, and that's mainly due to the fact that Bielsa, typically when he says they are likely available, typically means that they are available in most cases, and I think Rafinha is so crucial to how they want to play. They're going to need him. They're going to want to get 3 points in this game so that they can get themselves out of the relegation battle as soon as possible. They need some of their players back, like Bamford, like Phillips, like Rafinha, so that they can get back on their feet and start doing well again like they were last season for a newly promoted team. This season, maybe that, a lot of pundits and whatnot are saying second season syndrome. I think it's just because they've had a lot of injuries. When you lose Ayling, your best right back, you lose your central defensive midfielder, your most creative player, and your guy who puts the ball in the back of the net the most, it's kind of a problem in most cases. I mean, we saw with Liverpool, all their centre backs just being out, saw that the defense was wide open, no real leadership at the back without Van Dijk there. So I think that it can hurt smaller teams too, especially with Bielsa squads, which are typically thin in the first place. Not really much backup except for maybe the attacking areas in the wide areas with like Harrison and Dan James and whatnot. So again, I think Rafinha is most likely going to be involved. If I had to choose, like if I was in a situation where I could only play Rafinha or Mbeumo, I would play Rafinha in this case. And then lastly, we have Romelu Lukaku. He is flagged. He's out till the international break, so we might just make the change there and stop any more basically price falls on that front. Worst case, I was looking to take out St. Maximin this week, but we might just drop him to the bench because we know that he's fit and available, and he could just be an extra body on the bench if the likes of Reece James gets benched, or maybe Rafinha and Mbeumo are on the bench but don't come on, these sorts of things. So I think Lukaku is going to be a transfer out almost certainly this week. I'm probably going to hang on to Mbeumo and Rafinha because I think they're most likely to be involved. And I think that we could be going for Mbeumo's partner in crime up front with Ivan Toney. And if Mbeumo doesn't play, he's most likely actually going to be on our bench, if I had to guess. It depends on the transfers that we're going to make. But if I had to choose between Mbeumo and Toney this week, I would definitely be playing Toney because I know Toney's fit. He also got a goal and assist midweek as well in their victory in the Carabao Cup. And I think that they could be doing well this week versus a Burnley team that is actually a lot more open than they have been previously. Smith Rowe is probably going to be on the bench as well, as is Brownhill. Maybe Smith Rowe comes on if somebody doesn't play. But let's take a look at the transfers that I'm looking at going into Game Week 10. So this is the transfer screen that we have here for our team. You can see 2 free transfers. No money in the bank. So the first topic of discussion is Lukaku out. I think he probably has to go this week. He's not going to be until after the international break. It's a lot of money in the team, but I just don't think that I'm going to be able to spend it, to be honest, unless I do something later on and I just kind of bank the money for the time being. There's no real premium forward that's kind of showing anything at the moment. Lukaku's injured. United are in complete disarray. Kane is not the main guy over at Spurs anymore and just seems to be completely out of it. Jamie Vardy had an injury and came off injured at halftime last week. Will he be fit this week? Brendan Rodgers seems to think so, but he could get re-injured again, which is something that has happened with Vardy in the past with like hamstring and groin injuries because he just runs so fast. So, and then you're looking at the likes of, Gabriel Jesus and Aubameyang, and do we necessarily trust those players or want them long term because they could either be rotated or just go on, cold streaks basically. I'm just not really into it. So maybe I might just downgrade and just keep the money for the time being. And the player that kind of stands out that we've had basically all this time has been on our watch list for some time here. It's Ivan Toney. We didn't go with him at the beginning of the season, which actually worked out. Now he's gone up in price twice in recent weeks as well, which isn't ideal. This number is probably going to be inflated a little bit because a lot of managers have dead teams will have got him off the start. So that number might be slightly inflated as well. But 6.6 million, I mean, he hasn't done anything in the last 3 weeks in terms of returns. He's got 2 goals, 2 assists on the season, which, you know, if you're thinking about it, a return every other week for a 6.5 million forward, I think that's probably about right, to be honest. And I think he could definitely get more. I mean, their fixtures initially at the start of the season were okay. And then they had some rough ones over the last few with Liverpool, West Ham, Chelsea, and Leicester. But their fixtures now are looking quite good, especially these two, Norwich and Newcastle, in game weeks 11 and 12. So he would probably be the most likely replacement to come in for Romelu Lukaku, which gives us 4.9 million left in the bank. And we still have the one free transfer. Now, there's a couple of different things we can do. We can look to shape up the midfield or do some type of midfield rework if we don't think that Mbeumo is going to be fit, but I would like to have him. Or we could, just kind of use second transfer to fix Raya in this situation. I think with the midfield rework, if I was going to go for something, it'd be for like a Phil Foden or like a Heung-min Son. But I think I still want to see one more game week of what Spurs are like, one more game week of what Man City are like, and see what Phil Foden is capable of or who's going to be starting. Because De Bruyne got benched last week, which was a bit weird. And I'm kind of not sure if he's going to become an exclusive Champions League player, which might mean Ilkay Gundogan could be available in the Premier League, with Bernardo Silva kind of being just a mainstay as the other attacking box-to-box like number 8 style of role in Pep's midfield 3. So it could be something to monitor, and I think I want a little bit more time to kind of judge that. So I'm going to maintain that. St. Maximin would have been the one that would have came out for Tony, and I would have had Lukaku in my team and probably captain Lukaku this week versus Newcastle. But unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. Other potential transfers would have been the likes of Livramento. We already mentioned Foden as well. But I think that Raya might come out here, and I think he might come out for either. It's going to be one of two, I think. I just have to make the decision on it. He's either going to come out for Ben Foster, who we know plays for Watford, at 4 million. We'll save ourselves 0.6 million. Or I might just, because, Gunnarsson's on loan, so he's not going to play. Raya's out till March, basically. So we'll have Fernandez till at least January, which is perfectly fine by me. I mean, we have him as a rotating goalkeeper anyway. So we're going to have him up until at least our second wild card, which I think is perfectly fine. So we could slot him in. We save 0.1 as well, which leaves us with 5 million in the bank. Like I said, the alternative would have been 5.5 million in the bank with Foster in goal. I think that's the only 2 real transfers I need to make in all seriousness. And then just kind of hopefully we can bank a transfer going into game week 11 and then have 2 free transfers after the international break in game week 12. That's ideally the circumstances that I want to be in. I don't want to take any unnecessary hits if I don't have to. There was one set of moves that I was thinking, which was basically instead of bringing in bringing in just 2 players, would be bringing in 3. The player that I would bring in up front, if Kane had shown me something, would have been Harry Kane. I would have got Ivan Toney as well, and then we would have had around 4.2 million. We would have had enough to put Ben Foster in goal, and then we could have had Kane as our premium forward, so that when it came time to get Ronaldo back, if United had a new manager and went on that ridiculous run of games starting from like game week 15 when they played Palace, then they played Norwich and all that sort of stuff, we'd already have kind of one easy swap to do it from there. So that's something that we're going to kind of have to monitor. I think until the manager and coaching staff go at United, I think they're still going to be in disarray or not as ideal. I think potentially the best asset for United could be Marcus Rashford, who seems to be the one that is kind of perfectly suited to Solskjaer's style of play of just counterattacking basically and balls in and over the top. I think Rashford could be quite good. I think he's like 9.3 million on that front, but that's further down the line. But Kane, not really too convincing. Maybe he scores versus United. I mean, if United are in disarray and Kane and Son are on it, they could do some damage, like they did during when no fans could join and watch the games when they won 6-1. I think Son scored like 3 goals that day or something like that. It was something ridiculous. It was a big hole. And that would cost a hit. That would get rid of St. Maximin, but it would bring in Kane. And is Kane somebody that we want to bring in before Man United? Historically, no. His fixtures after that are good, but again, we can get an extra set of data because who knows, if Nuno loses the game, he could get sacked. We don't know. But I think what I'm leaning most towards now, because I still do like the rotating the rotating goalkeepers. I think what I'm gonna go for is go for Ivan Toney up front, and then just go for their backup goalkeeper with 4.5 million as the backup with 9 million. Perfect now with Raya down in price, and then when Raya comes back in, we could potentially just get him, or we could just wildcard them both out because the rotation is very good for them. So like as an example, when Brentford plays, when they play Man United and when they play Man City in 17 and 20, you have Ramsdale who plays West Ham, which isn't great, but it is at home. West Ham don't typically score boatloads of goals, and then Wolves at home, which is typically quite good as well. So they do rotate quite nicely. So I think that's might be what I go with. I could also, like I said, go with Ben Foster. Considering that as well, gets an extra 0.5 million. Although we don't really have 0.5 million to spend at the moment because, like I said, Kane's not doing it for us. Son's fixtures are a couple weeks away. De Bruyne's not an option. Mane would be one maybe I would go for, potentially, but I think Jota might be better value, although Mane has been doing quite well, and I do like the way he's playing, but I'm still not completely convinced, and if anything, I want to keep my options open to get a big forward if I can. Lukaku, if he comes back and looks good, we can go for him. Ronaldo, again, with the fixtures, could be very good. Jamie Vardy, if he continues his run or he comes back and he's fully fit, maybe he's someone that we go for. Gabriel Jesus is someone that I could still potentially go for, even though, like I said, with both him and Aubameyang, there is still that kind of like drought / with Jesus could just be dropped from the team completely. But I think I want to keep my options open. And with the team, basically, I would just play Fernandes in goal for this week. I would play my back 5. I would play Salah, Rafinha, and Mbeumo. I would play Toney and Jimenez, and then I would bench Smith Rowe first sub, St. Maximin second sub, and Brownhill third sub, which would allow for, if Mbeumo doesn't play or isn't involved or whatever, Smith Rowe and St. Maximin could come in for him and Rafinha, which would be just fine. And then if the likes of Chilwell or Reece James didn't play, we still have Brownhill for that as well. And I think the rest of them should be good to go. The next week, I would play Fernandes again. Then City play Man United, so I would probably put Diaz on the bench and go to a back 4. Chelsea, I believe, play Burnley. Yeah, they play Burnley at home, with Liverpool going to West Ham. So I'd play the back 4. I'd probably play Rafinha. I'd definitely play Mbeumo and Toney. I'd play Smith Rowe because he plays Watford at home. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then I'd either play St. Maximin, who has Brighton away, or Raul Jimenez, who has Crystal Palace away. Probably Raul Jimenez is probably better on that front. So I'd basically play 4-4-2. St. Maximin would probably be the first sub with Diaz and Brownhill second and third sub. So I think we're okay on that front. It's no real reason why we would need to make any drastic transfers unless players got injured. But the ideal thing is, and that's something that I wasn't very good at last season, was going into an international break, set your team up in such a way to where it's every time you can go into the international break with either 2 free transfers or the ability to wildcard. I don't have my wildcard anymore, so I need to set myself up with 2 free transfers, which is quite nice because you never know. Players can get injured. There's all kinds of, quarantine restrictions. There's players that need extra time, or they don't look as good when they come back from international break, and you need a deep bench or the ability to be flexible on that front as well. So we're gonna hopefully have that. So that's kind of what the transfer plans are looking like. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do I go Fernandez, because I know he's not Raya, and I haven't seen any game time from this guy, but I know that Brentford's defense in front of the goalkeeper has been very good this season, so I'm definitely hoping that this the guy Fernandez could be quite good as well. Or do I just go with Foster and save the 0.5 million? I do really like the rotation, as you all who have been watching the videos will know that I did kind of advocate for it as well. But let me know in the comments down below, what transfers are you making? We can definitely help out with those as well. And yeah, that's going to do it for our Game Week 10 lineup preview. And that is going to do it for our Game Week 10 lineup preview. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, or haven't done so already. It greatly helps out the channel, as well as turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. Drop us a follow over on Twitter so that you can keep up to date with any and all FPL news, from price changes to injury news and anything in between. As well as give us a follow over on Twitch so you can join us for our live streams. We will be doing a deadline stream tomorrow, 1 hour before the FPL deadline, as per usual for Saturdays. There's a pinned comment down below on all the YouTube videos to let you know when those streams are as well. And lastly, use the link down in the description so you can get access to the Fantasy Football Scout members area. It's going to help elevate your FPL game. Thank you all for watching, and until the next one, take care.